They kept saying, I wish we had a garden. I wish we had a garden. Well, a lot of them live in little tiny apartments. So I mentioned it to the CEO at Sutter in Auburn. I said, I know there's a piece of property back there. Could we borrow it? And so anyway, he says, I have to bring it up to the board. And so they did. They gave us a piece of property, and you know, they even put the water for us, and now we're in the process. This is our second year. We got grants from Frito-Lay for the plants, and somebody donated the tractor work and things like that, and so we've got a garden. And so now they're realizing that the things from their garden are a lot better for them. So they're becoming aware that, you know, that about healthy things, and like Selena was saying, and they're also so grateful. You know, they're so grateful that they're doing all these things. So the whole idea is to help them, you know, to encourage them to do things on their own, like they say, give a man a fish and he eats for that day, or teach him how to fish. And so that's our whole thing, you know, about, you know, encouraging them to become independent. Yeah. So, you know, and so Placer County has been very, very open to us to do things and to try different things, and it's working quite well. Yeah. And we're glad to be part of it, you know.
Yeah, because I've met, not only do I help the patients who come into the hospital, but we're also able to help out the families of the patient that's in the hospital. We had a case where the mom was very ill. She was getting better. We were teaching the family what to do better, how to eat better. And they feel so comfortable with us because we know the culture, we speak the language, and they start opening up to us. Well, in one of those moments that we had, we were talking, and one of the sons of the patient, he felt so comfortable, he was able to tell me he was depressed. And we were able to guide him to the right person and help him. And I'm so happy to hear that he's no longer depressed. He was so depressed, he was thinking of committing suicide. So we were able to help him with that, bring his spirits up, and he's doing wonderful. He's got a job, and they've moved to a better home, and they're just so grateful of all the help we've been able to do. And we're so happy to see them smile that it makes our day.
Mental health is extremely important, you know, because sometimes they're depressed, like Selena was saying, or the kids get into trouble with gangs and things like that. And we have some people, a young man that, you know, he was in prison at one time, and he came out and he's going to college, and you know, he is very spiritual, and so he's helping us a lot, you know, with gang members. So that's the whole idea of also breaking that cycle. And in fact, I asked him, I said, well, how do you make them, how do you change them? He says, I don't. I just I build a relationship and build a relationship, and, you know, helping him see a healthy relationship, and then it's his choice. But he says, it works, you know, so. Any questions? Okay. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Kind of a follow-up? Do you like check back with the families?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why don't you repeat the question so it's recorded?
Go ahead.
Oh, how do we do the follow-up?
If we do a follow-up.
Okay. Well, one of the things she does all the reports, you know, and then she goes back again and finds out how are they doing, you know, and how far do you go?
Yeah, what we do, I have a spreadsheet, and I do, it's a weekly spreadsheet that I keep up, and what I do basically after for example, if I have a patient, I take them twice to the clinic, but in between those two visits, if it's a month away, I still contact them. Are you doing what the doctor ordered? Are you taking your medication? Have you gone to the pharmacy for refill? All that stuff.
Or therapy.
Or therapy. But teaching them too. Don't wait for me to call you. You know, teaching them how to do all that on their own. Then after their second visit, I say, you know, continue doing what the doctor says, but then the doctor at the same time says, you know, let's schedule you in 6 months or a year to see how you're doing. So the doctor has a follow-up. So then another promotora calls the patients and gets a survey. How did we do? How did the doctor do? So then at the same time, how are you doing? We ask. We work as a group also. So we ask them, how are they doing? And then in my spreadsheet, by the time that I need to turn it in again, look at it and I say, okay, it's been 6 months. I need to follow up with this family again and see how they're doing. What's so funny that they enjoy learning so much that sometimes we see them again at different. I've had patients from Sutter Hospital that I've taken them to the clinics who ended up going to my nutrition classes, and then the wife, I see them in the Zumba, and the next thing I know, they're in her class. So we have, it kind of keeps coming back to us, and we find out what's going on, and then we know the families, we know that we're so into the families. I live in Lincoln, but I know so many families from Auburn. We have a group that's called El Rincón de las Comadres, and it's a little getaway for the women when their kids are in school and the fathers or the husbands are working. And we do crocheting, jewelry making, a whole bunch of different stuff. So that's another way of us keeping contact with them. But we definitely do a follow-up, a 6-month follow-up, and then usually we do a 1 year again. If we have other stuff coming up that is new and they haven't participated, we invite them also.
Yes.
How do you find the people that need your help?
How do we find the people that need help? Usually they're referrals, and a lot of it is word of mouth, because after all, we're 20. And so and we also did some fotonovelas, little books, about stories, which is a true story. It was about abuse. And so they pass it around, and then, say, oh, you've got problems with, with health, Selena. You've got problems with school, Alma. You have problems with youth and gangs, Jorge. But with them, there's all these other mentors working, and so we just connect all over, just all over. Also, we have meetings once a month, the promotores, to see how the cases are going. And let's say that I have challenges with a case, and I say, who could help me with this case? I can't seem to be able to break through. Is there anybody? And then somebody picks it up. So by Elisa Herrera running the program, it's like, boy, everything is in place and very structured, which is nice, which is absolutely wonderful. At times we're scared to death of her. But she's so structured, and she's got, she really makes all of us responsible because she's such a responsible and has such high expectations of herself. We do too, so.
The way that I started as a promotora in LLC, or the Latino Leadership Council, was through a friend who was already part of the LLC. I was in the mortgage business for 14 years prior to this, and obviously we all know what happened with all that stuff with the real estate, lovely. So I was looking for something else, and me and my friend were talking, she was mentioning about it, and I said, you know what, this sounds really, really interesting. I really want to know more about it. So she said, I think you would be a great promotora. I talked to Elisa, I went to one of the screenings, I participated, and I just fell in love with the community. I loved helping. I get the chills just about every day, just hearing people, letting me know how they're doing, the changes they've made in their life or in the community. It's beautiful. It really is. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's so rewarding.
And sometimes you're working with a whole family because somebody's got a health problem, but somebody else in the family has a problem with gangs. We just had a case in this family where one of the daughters with 3 children left her husband because of drugs in LA. So we made a visit, and she says, I want to go to college. So we connected her to Sierra College, and then the kid that's in gangs is with, the young man, Jorge, and the parents, he was a heavy drinker, the father, and we got him involved in a class, parent project. It's always been in English, but now all our classes are also in Spanish. And if we know that certain classes are being taught in English and Spanish, we don't duplicate anything, but if we know that a certain class like the parent project was taught at the police department, but only in English, and it has been extremely successful. They started only with about 5 people in Roseville, and now there are 31. Lincoln is the same one in the 30s. So it's just wonderful to be able to be part of it, So, any other questions?